And if you are just now joining us,
Yeah.
it's a little after 2 o'clock. Dallas police are on the scene at Wilmer-Hutchins High School, which for what was dispatched as a shooting. The call came in at 10 minutes or 9 minutes after 1 o'clock, so not quite an hour ago. And in the meantime, we have been up over this scene for the last 20-30 minutes or so, and we've seen a number of students being escorted out of the building as presumably the police are doing a room by room or grid by grid search of the building. We have been told that from our J.D. Miles, who he learned from his sources that his law enforcement sources that it was a student-on-student shooting rather than an active shooter. None of the injuries we're told are initially believed to be life-threatening. We're not sure at this point just how many people might have been injured. We're told the shooter did leave the scene, and again, the school is being evacuated.
You want to go to the phones right now. We have Dr. Alex Del Carmen. He is a criminologist and a professor at Tarleton State University. Dr. Del Carmen is someone who we lean on greatly whenever we have to try and make sense of situations like this. He's joining us now on the phone. Dr. Del Carmen, thanks for chatting with us here. We're looking at these images live right now. Everything seems orderly. Nobody seems to be chaotic or in any kind of a panic. Does that show any kind of sign to you that this event is nearing its conclusion?
Good afternoon, and thanks for having me again, Ken and Karen. What it does show me is the fact that law enforcement is containing the scene, which essentially means that law enforcement is actually actively sweeping, as you noted earlier, building by building, but at the same time, they don't see any immediate threat to the individuals that are standing by the building, right? That's certainly a good sign. It doesn't necessarily mean that law enforcement is not pursuing the suspect elsewhere or is not actually trying to find information if the suspect has any links to other individuals that have either left the school or are close by in the community.
This is the same school, Dr. Del Carmen. A year ago, we were talking about a shooting there. A gun got in. Looks like it happened again. I mean, how much of that, and I know it's early, so forgive me for asking if this is a tacky question an hour into this, but people are asking and they want to know, how could something like this have happened again?
Yeah, hard to believe, but at the same time, it's always possible, right? One of the things that I always say as a criminologist of 27 years doing this is that when there is a will, there is a way. And unfortunately, law enforcement can do all that it can do. The schools can fortify it as much as they can. But if somebody has the ill intent and has the capability of committing a crime against someone else, they will try to find a way to do it. We can never make these schools into 100% protected environments against bad guys. But what we can do is learn from each lesson and make it better each time, right? It's hard to know exactly what happened at this point. All the information is very much fluid, and it's coming in, as you guys have been reporting it, almost by the minute. However, what is going to be clear to us at the end is that there was a failure in the security protocol at some point, and that someone was able to have a gun or access to a gun on school grounds that likely caused the injury of someone else.
And you raise a good point because you mentioned school grounds. At this point, I don't know if it's been confirmed that it was actually inside the building
or outside,
that the shooting occurred. It might have happened somewhere on the school grounds. And like, in other words, nobody did take a gun through the metal detectors. That's also a possibility. But it's encouraging to me, Doctor, as we look at these students milling about, sitting in the stands, that we don't have that sense of panic that we sometimes see in these shooting situations. And, so perhaps these students are very far removed from what happened earlier.
That's the likely scenario, Karen. What likely happened was that they actually isolated the threat to a particular area, whether it's off campus or on campus, and then they deemed the rest of those areas where you see people moving freely as being quote unquote non-threatening areas. In other words, there's no one in the area that can actively hurt someone else. Now, keep in mind, you guys are looking at aerial shots of the track and fields, right, which is typically far removed from the school and in places where law enforcement has a clear access to the individuals that are there. It doesn't mean that the rest of the buildings, inside the buildings, have the nature that, of peace and quiet that we're able to appreciate through the cameras. Yeah. But I will tell you that what is clear to me is that something happened that shouldn't have happened, and that law enforcement is going to be asking a lot of really good questions about how this could have happened. And once again, the access to weapons, either close by to the school or inside the school grounds, we don't know at this point, but that in itself is very, very concerning.
Yeah, a lot of questions and a lot of information that we're hoping will be coming forth here soon.